Now let's add some texture to the medallion. And for this, I want to show you a concept in Substance Painter, and that is using the maps that Substance Painter generated to mask off different areas of different materials. And so to start, I'm going to use some very simple fill layers, and then we'll actually add the gold look. And so let's go ahead and just add a couple of fill layers. And the first one I'm going to make, let's make it kind of a green color. And then the second one we'll make a red color. All right, so we're seeing the red because that's on top. If we turn that off, we'd see the green. And so what we can do is we can mask off different layers based on those maps that we generated. In this case, a curvature map, which would show the areas of curvature on the model. And so to do that, we first create a mask. So in this case, let's say we only wanted to see red on the edges. Maybe the red is the underlying surface, and then we've painted green on top of it, but now the paint is rubbing off on the edges, and we want to see the red coming through. And so what we can do is then mask off the red. So we'll just add a black mask, and then on that mask, we'll actually add a generator. So we'll go ahead and add the generator, and then here we need to select what generator we want to use. And so if we click on this, there are lots of different kinds of generators that we can use based on the light direction, but we can also use one that's just based on curvature. And so if I start typing curvature, we can click on this curvature one. And now simply by adding this, you can see now it's only adding red in those raised areas. You see that? And so you can come down to curvature, and under the parameters, we could invert this. So we could only show red in the lower areas if we wanted to. You can also blur the effect out like that. Let's say we only want a little bit of red on the highest points. We can change that balance. And if you unscroll the curvature, change some of these sliders as well. We'll go ahead and leave those alone. And so what we want to do is, let's say, create a gold look for this. But let's say in the areas that maybe are raised up, they're rubbed a little bit rougher. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to get rid of both of these layers. I'm going to go to materials. And these are materials that don't have any of the existing masking on them. If you use smart materials, a lot of those actually have the curvature masking and things like that, the generators built into those. And so they'll automatically kind of go based on the curvature. But we're going to go ahead and just choose materials. And I'm going to choose this gold pure. And I'm just going to add it twice. Okay. And I'm going to rename this top one. And I'll call this one gold rough. And so right now you can see the gold look on here. And it's very, very shiny and uniform. And so then what we could do is go in and let's change the roughness value of this one. And so all we have to do for that is go into the material here, the layer, change the roughness. So we'll rough it up a little bit. So you can see the difference now, shiny and rough. And then we mask off the rough one with a black mask. Go ahead and add a generator to it. And we'll choose a curvature generator. So now you can see we've just added a little bit of variation. You can really see it along the edges here. Turn this off and on so you can see the difference. So the shininess is staying down here, but on the top edges, it's rubbing a little bit, it's been rubbed a little bit rougher, okay? And we can layer these things together. So let's say we also want to add sort of just an overall dirtiness to it. We could add another generator. So this time we'll go ahead and let's get a dirt. And you can see that effect really adds a lot of detail. You can see the roughness changes across the surface. But right now, we're not seeing the curvature because the dirt is overpowering that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move the dirt down, and now you can see the curvature is the only one that we're seeing. So on the curvature blending modes, I'm going to set this to screen. And then we should be able to see a combination of both of those together. All right. We could also come in and let's say we want to add some dirt to this. So that's collecting kind of in the lower areas. So I'm going to go ahead and add a fill layer, and I'm going to make this a dirt color, black or brown, dark brown, something like that. And then I'm going to create a mask. And now let's come in and use our dirt generator on that. And so now you can see that dirt is only collecting in those lower areas. And again, with this, we can go in and we can change the level So we have the level of dirt, and you can see as we modify that, you can see how it only changes in certain parts, like in these lowered areas. We also have the contrast. We can play with the contrast. The grunge amount, kind of the noisiness and noisiness of it. The grunge scale, so we can change that. So there's lots of different things we can do to change that up. And then in addition, we can take this layer itself and take the opacity of the layer down. And so make it a little bit less intense so that we're just getting a little bit of that dirt in there instead of, full on dirtiness. Because this guy is supposed to be, a diplomat or something like that. So he's not walking around with this really dirty medallion, but it's probably seen some years. And so we want to have a little bit of roughness to it. Now, I don't want to get rid totally of that. So let's go ahead and I'm going to reduce the grunge amount a little bit, take the level down a little, darken it up a little bit, just so it's not completely getting rid of all of the shininess. Same thing with this gold, the rough gold. We can come in here to the mask and we can play with the visibility of the different elements. And so, for the dirt, you could take that down a little bit and really blend everything together to get the exact look that we want. All right. And so we're now blending the pure gold. We've got the rough gold happening on the edges. We've got a little bit of dirt breaking that effect up. And then we've got some dirt added with another layer that is simply masking a solid color and only putting that in the lower areas. And then we're blending that back in with the rest of the look there. All right. So next, let's take a look at how we can add some additional detail in the center here and maybe even add a little bit of a glow to our model. So we'll do that next.